Okay, guys, this is me, the guy named Cookie Fonster, I guess, and I'm here recording this video about commentary, basically, on my cool and new webcomic solo album called Of Troles and Chiptumes. I'm recording this for June 12th, the anniversary of the Troles arc of Homestuck, and that is actually one of the worst parts of the comic, and that's the comic that has late Act 6, which is much worse than the Troles arc, but I'm not gonna ramble about Homestuck now. I mean, I could, and I gladly would, because it's an interesting webcomic, even after all this time, and it's just the kind of thing you can ramble about, and even these days especially, they often forget just how good some parts of it were, like Act 5, Act 2, especially. It was just really fun to read and everything, but then there's the solo album I made for Cool and New Webcomic. So, in that album, at one point, I was bored and made this medley of songs for the character Solix, I guess, and called it the Gemoni Mustard Blood, referencing some Homestuck trollfic. And then, people actually liked that song. It was the first actual honest attempt at music I made for the Cool and New Music team. Then I or someone else had the idea of making similar songs for all the trolls in Homestuck. And people liked that idea and I just kept pumping them out. I made those songs at a pretty insane rate. Each of the 12 troll songs took me like a few hours to make, and I typically made 2 a day, and I did them in a pretty random order, and it was a lot of fun. And I think back to this album, and sometimes I really cringe looking back on the dumb names I came up for songs, the dumb choices of random melodies I made, the incredibly boring drum patterns. But when I made this album, I was extremely proud of it and listened to it on loop and watched the album creation myself as it grew to this full-blossomed tribute to all the songs people made for the trolls in Homestuck and the remixes of them. And I like remixing songs. Remixing is fun, and remixing 4 songs of a common type, like 3 to 5 songs, is really fun. It's just an experience that's so entertaining that it's something you can really pump out quickly. And back then, I had like the ultimate drive to make music at insane rates. And now I'm kind of at a loss for knowing what music I should make and taking sort of a break and sitting back down and relaxing. But at the time, I made all those chiptune troll songs, and chiptunes are a lot of fun to make. I made them all in FamiTracker, this chiptune software, which is like sort of like a friend that can never fail me. It's this chiptune software that only has a limited number of channels, and some people hate it because of that. Some people think it's impossible to use and are like, how the hell do you input notes into that software? But FamiTracker, writing music in it, it's a really fun experience, and it makes for really good practice in music, like constrained writing or something. You remember all those 8-bit covers I have on YouTube of mostly Homestuck songs? Yeah, I made those in FamiTracker, and it was always a challenge squeezing everything into 8 channels. I always use like the VRC6 thing, but I barely ever use DPCM, which is, even though DPCM channel makes drum lines easier, I don't like downloading random drum samples and I never bothered figuring out how to use drum samples like that. One of the few times I did was sampling Cheers in Opatomi style, which I miraculously managed to do through audio subtraction in freaking Audacity. Like, audio subtraction in Audacity used to extract cheer samples from a song. Toby is a madman. Let's leave it at that. But, yeah, every single song on this album, I think, every single song except for one, has a remix of Toby Fox or Radiation's music, because he, unlike me, is really good at capturing the personalities of pretty much everything. It shows in his troll themes, like Karkat's song is just insane. It's really grouchy, but fun to listen to and catchy at the same time. Then he this whole riscatone of music with insane guitars, and obviously it shows up in Undertale, which the characters can be pretty much summed up through their music. Like, I don't even need to say things like how like Sans and Papyrus's music especially is supposed to define their characters, but yeah. But obviously I remixed some music that wasn't by Toby because he only made like 2 songs for most of the Troles. One on Alternia, one on Alternia Bound, maybe 3 songs. And 2 or 3 songs, often I don't have the creativity to make a full song out of 2 or 3 songs because I'd have to pull out original writing, and through the whole process of making this album, using original writing never really occurred to me in the slightest. Because I'm bad at original writing. It's really hard to write melodies, and writing original compositions, I can barely ever pull it off unless I rip off a song I like, which is a thing I really, really love to do. Taking a good song and making something similar to it. I did things like that in the cool and new Homestuck album, and some original melodies actually arose out of this technique of ripping off songs. And ripping off songs is also something I did for those songs based on the versions of Fighting Spirit in Volume 7 and Volume 8. But the only time I really did actual completely original writing that wasn't ripping off a song was the song on the Heck and Jeff album called Muse of Non-Shows, and it's a pretty crappy melody, but it's my own writing and my own composition, and I didn't steal the style of an original song, and just for that accomplishment, I'm proud of it. But then, just back in the day, back in July, when I made my solo album, I didn't do original writing. I sort of vaguely tried it in the last song, a cool new webcomic version of Rex Duodecim Angelus. Or, how do you even pronounce that? You tell me how it's pronounced. I probably pronounced it wrong. I remember a guy said that I pronounced it wrong and was supposed to say it some kind of Latin way. But, yeah. Man, I've been rambling for 7 minutes or so already. Funny I've been rambling this long. The album was actually going to have a commentary booklet in the style of the Homestuck Volume 10 booklet, and Mira, who was at the time a major artist for the Cool and New Music team, he made the cover of the album and the art for 2 of the songs. He was going to make the booklet, but I couldn't think of much to say about most of the songs for some reason. I guess at the time I didn't have much to say other than that I was super proud of every single song on this album, and it's a wonderful, perfect masterpiece. And it obviously isn't. The songs have dumb names, and some of them are pretty boring, or just have no original writing. And some of the songs actually do have at least some solo sections, some cool-sounding drum lines, some fancy effects, but not really that fancy. But yeah, at the time, I didn't have much to say about the album, but then, when I came to realize the faults in those songs, I have a lot to say about every single one of these songs. These songs are they're like, I don't know how to say it. They're all like my little children, these songs that I made. And, the cover art, which I think you're seeing right now, I originally made a bad redraw of the Alternia album cover art, and then Mira, the person I was talking about, made a redraw of that art that actually looks more good. I don't even have the picture of my old art anymore. But yeah, making this album was a fun experience for me, even if it was really rushed and done at a frantic pace that is insane even by my standards, and people say I'm fast at making music. Though obviously I have nothing on certain people in the team who can punch out things like the other solo albums in this team. Cyclica was that one solo album that was made apparently in 2 days, all in private, and only the managers of the team knew. And then there's the other solo albums. I kind of accidentally started a trend with cool and new solo albums, because the people there, they all wanted to do cool solo albums too, and only a few of them came to fruition, the solo albums. A lot of them were just random ideas that just sort of never happened. But then, I can't imagine I didn't play a part in inspiring some of the solo albums, and then many of the albums are much more polished than the thing I made. There's A Shade of Blue and Cyclica, which I talked about, both good albums. And then Basement Tale is a weird album, but it has some gems kind of in it, and it's created by John J. Renz, that one person who makes music at insane speeds and also does a lot of singing work, and yeah, it's pretty insane with the stuff I've inspired. Oh yeah, there's also a later album, Medium, that was made after that solo album. But am I really going to procrastinate on re-listening to those old junky songs? Guess there's no delaying it anymore. So the opening song of this album, it has a dumb long name for Aradia, how do you want to say it? I don't know, but this was the second song that I made for this album, and it's not one of the best. Some people don't like the intro that I have of the song, say that it's really grating or whatever, and it is with headphones like these. I mean, I'm not wearing good headphones, but I can see why the intro was grating. And I tried to make this song, I guess, match up with its title. The name is taken from a line from Homestuck, as you should know, because if you don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of the comic, you can get out of here. Okay, then the drumline kicks on, which is like this part of the robot form of the character, and I forget how much I twisted the melody from the song Rust Made, I guess. And yeah, I remixed a lot of Colors and Mayhem in this album, which some people seem to be afraid to touch remixing that album. Even Gold Pilot, which is a super popular song that I somehow forgot to remix in the Solid song, even though people really like that song, and yeah, this song is one of the worst ones. At least it has a drum beat that doesn't sound half bad. Oh yeah, Crystal Anthems. That melody actually found its way in there. It's a good melody, and I can pretend it's associated with the character this song is for because of that one flash in Homestuck, but it's not like this melody was a little shoehorned in. Oh god, this section, which is supposed to be Arisen anew, this is one of the weaker songs, and I think most people agree on that. Yeah, Arisen anew is a good song, and I could have done more with that, but it's a really good Tensei dance dubstep song. Tensei is also an amazing musician, even though his songs aren't working with crazy melodies. He makes rad music too, and yeah, this is the part where I think I reiterate the music from the song in backwards order. I forget when I did that. Maybe I can pretend this was some kind of time gimmick because, you know, this song is about a hero of time, I guess. Wait, the song is still going on? Oh yeah, it's the longest song in this album, I guess. No, that's not true. Rex is much longer. And yeah, Rex is one of the few times I've made a song that's actually a decent length, but that's because I ripped the idea from the Homestuck song Rex. And it's over. It's over, I guess. This song is over. Oh yeah. Second song, Mexican but not really, is for the guy you see here, Tavros, I guess. And the idea I had was to write a Spanish-sounding song and then I listened to it and was like, okay, the recording starts, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? This doesn't sound Spanish at all except for the intro. But looking back, it does sound at least a little Spanish, in my opinion at least. Okay, so I accidentally messed up the recording, and I'll need to start over with commenting on Mexican but not really. But I guess I can pick up where I left off 20 seconds in. And yeah, there's the remix of Breathtaking, that song from the fan album Before Us, which is a really long album about the pre-scratch Troles, and it's generally regarded as a not very good album, but it has some gems, and Breathtaking is actually one of them, and it's a pretty similar song to the Troles old songs on this album. It was the song for Rufio, and it's basically a medley of songs for him and his ancestor and all the Taurus Trolls, and it's actually a good song, even though the whole Before Us album encouraged original compositions. Oh wait, fuck, that's my solo section of this song. It's one of the few songs I did that, and some people actually particularly like the song about the album, and I think I turned it out at least somewhat unique and fun to listen to compared to the more dull parts of this album, at least. Oh yeah, and I used Penumbra Phantasm because that was in the Before Us song Breathtaking. Oh yeah, I think I'm one of the few people on the Cool New Music team, if not the only one, to remix something from Before Us. I don't even know if any songs for any other Homestuck fan music remixes songs from Before Us, and I mean, it's not that I blame people for not wanting to remix Before Us, but the album does have some highlights, and I mean, I'm sure someone has remixed, like, Skya ad infinitum, one of the album's popular songs, but yeah, this shouldn't be Before Us rambling. This should be rambling about this song sounding like... I still do think this song sounds Spanish in retrospect, even though I thought it ended up not even close to true for this title. Maybe it is after all. I don't know. But yeah. This song ends with a pretty typical way I like to end songs, just with a short riff, sometimes repeating a bit of the song and then ending with a chord. I like ending songs that way instead of with fade-out endings, because fade-out endings make me want to die. But short bullshitted endings of my songs, it's not like anything I do with making music isn't bullshitting. But yeah. Oh yeah, the third song, the Gemoni Mustard Blood, the Solix song on this album. This is probably by far the best song on this album. It's the only one on Cool and New Greatest Hits, and it actually had new art for the Greatest Hits album. And the old art for this I still think is pretty funny. This guy took a picture of bread with Gemini symbol and ketchup on it, but recolored it to look like mustard, and I just can't bring myself to hate this song at all for some reason, just because people like it that much. I think it's a pretty good medley of Solix songs, and as before, it uses something from Before Us, the Matuna method, which is actually a really good song, despite all the flack Before Us gets. So let's listen to this one. Wait, who am I kidding? I still sometimes listen to this song because it's on Greatest Hits, and I like listening to the Greatest Hits album. But yeah, the beginning is with that Before Us song. As I said earlier, this was the first song I made for my solo album, and I kind of dicked around with some Solix themes, I guess, and made this. It has a cool drum pattern, unlike most of my songs. It uses a lot of vibrato effects. I just actually am pretty damn proud of this song in retrospect, especially considering it's one of those songs I made back in July, and my first serious song for this team, I guess. Oh yeah, this is the call section. This song is actually... I don't want to be self-indulgent, but this is one of the few songs on this album I still like after all this days. They also remixed The Blind Prophet, which is a really good song. It's a really distinctly radiation-feeling song, and it just has cool guitars, cool violin patterns, without sounding bad and dumb like... I don't know what. But yeah, people say this song is catchy, and weirdly enough, this is one of the few songs. This is one of the songs I didn't get to have stuck in my head. The one after this was stuck in my head for some time after a while. I know it's dumb and self-indulgent to have your own music stuck in your head, but this is just such a multi-layered song which I think really brings out as much as you could with VRC6 Fammy Tracker, and I used VRC6 for this whole album because 2A03 with only 4 channels and plus VPCM is just not enough for me to write music unless I want to be super minimalistic, which I can only use if I want to make cheap, dumb things. Yeah. I can't believe I actually like this song after all this time. Maybe it's because others put it on a pedestal that I can't hate it. I don't know. But yeah, this is another one of those endings that ends with the riff way I always end songs. And that's it. That's the Gemoni Mustard Blood. And then the next song is the Not-Fuckass Not-Waltz, which is a dumb name. And it's a pretty generic song, but I listened to it. I started with the melody from Showdown, this one song which was made as a randomly made melody or something by Toby, whatever that even means, but I used a really simplified version of the Showdown melody, rather than just using a MIDI. That's how you can tell I'm a true artist, unlike the other chumps on this team. Anyway, I want to remix the bass line from Carcat's theme, or Crustacean, I guess, but it proved really hard and limiting. Like, all those really good Homestuck songs, like, they trick you into thinking the bass line from Crustacean or Carcat's theme is really, really easy and fun to use in songs, like in his part of Rex, but it's not. It's extremely limiting, and at least with my experience, it made me unable to actually mess around with chord patterns the way I wanted to. And yeah, I do like messing around with chord patterns of songs. Oh yeah, I forgot I used Iron Knight in there, that one super aggressive guitar song, but I took all of those angry songs and made them into something different. Maybe something not as interesting as all those Carcat songs, but something different at least. It's a solid 2-some minute song, and yeah, I only remixed 3 songs in it, which by my standards is pretty damn insane. I think only one other song remixes 3 songs, but I'll get to that thing later. But yeah, I do a lot of repeating sections, which is how I get my songs off into a passable length, and even then, my songs don't tend to be long, on average 2-some minutes, and this album is a perfect example of that, I guess. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about this, other than that I actually think I did a medium good job combining the 3 songs I remixed in this album. And in that last ending section, which we're on right now, I actually combined all 3 songs that I remixed into this together. And it reaches a level of depth that I think it has a problem with my songs, that it reaches a strong level of depth towards the end when I feel like it could have been that way at the beginning. At least, that's the way I like to do the last sections of the songs. I reiterate my favorite part, but with more depth. And I guess I like the last 30 seconds of my songs often way more than I should. It's just a thing with my music, I guess. And yeah, that's the song. Up next is Everyone Forgets She Kills Animals for this one cat troll. I'm not going to pronounce her name because even I have no idea how you're supposed to pronounce it. I think literally every pronunciation of the name, every pronunciation of this troll's name makes me cringe a little, because I'm like, no, that's not the right way to say it, but there is no right way to say this troll's name. I mean, it's not like she kills animals or anything. She's not that kind of character at all, is she? But yeah, this song ended up kind of weird. I wanted to make the Psycho into a badass song, but it just ended up some kind of like this instead. I think very few songs I made, because I'm not Toby by any means, managed to actually capture the feel of characters in this song. So it's mostly just weird chiptune medleys of the character songs. At least I did remix all of Rogue on this, which is an amazing song that's kind of almost like an old friend, because I listened to this on loop during my old days of reading Homestuck, I guess. And yeah, Even though the song kind of mixes between being cutesy and just strange. I mean, it's not my fault that this troll has weird music. Oh yeah, I used the song Dave Sprite in it because of that one Sprite thing that there's a lot of fan music for. And people will probably think that's... I think the song actually did end up as a theme for Dave Peta, that one Sprite Squared character. At least I did a passable job of combining the character themes, even if the character's original theme, which, like, Waltz Covered in Blood, is just... Oh, I had another interruption there. Guess I'll resume the piece at 1 minute 15 seconds in. And, man, I forgot everything I was going to say about this. Man, those interruptions. But yeah, Olive Rogue is a good song, and I guess I used some parts of it, which was fun, because again, a lot of people don't like remixing Colors and Mayhem for some reason. It's got some sweet tunes, but I guess they're not really that much by the music team. Oh yeah, according to Bandcamp, Toby made all but one of the songs I remixed there. One of them is actually some unused song called Cat Scratch, which I have no idea how people got a hold of that song, but you can find it in the Homestuck sound test. Yes. I think I already skipped over the parts that had that song Cat Scratch in them. No wait, there it is again, I guess. Just listen to sound test and maybe you'll understand where Homestuck or Cat Scratch is in this thing. And yeah, this was a fairly average song compared to the other stuff in this album. It wasn't as interesting as, like, the Gemoni Mustard Blood, and the next one, the Ascended Twilight Fangirl, is kind of one of the songs that I don't dislike as much as most of this album. It's got a pretty unique style to it, and being... I was going to remix the song Virgin Orb in this, but people didn't like that part, and the part of the song that I had with Virgin Orb is on the cool and new webcomic sound test, if that interests you. But then Virgin Orb is just a melody that's difficult to use in songs. Malcolm Brown pulled it off really well in Rex Duodecim Angelus. No, you are not going to correct me on the pronunciation, but that's because, unlike me, he is actually good at music. It's difficult to use it. I settled for the early Kanaya, I guess, which is a really good song. It makes for good casual listening, and is not a remix of Virgin Orb, which is surprising because Toby loves remixing and reworking his songs in both Homestuck and in Undertale. But it's a completely different song, and I'll just listen to this thing. And yeah, I think this piece has... It's not a complex, multi-layered piece like the Solix song in this album, but it's got a pretty cool feel to it. It's got weird dissonant, funky stuff, but dissonance when done right can be pretty damn good. Like, it's hard to describe. Obviously, if there's a song where everything is really off-key, it's not a good song, but sometimes discordant stuff can be either really good and fun to listen to, or cool and new in some cases. Oh yeah, the bass line is taken from Gardener, which is like a Jade song, because, you know, Kanaya is a Jade blood and all that, and there's space heroes and stuff. I did that instead of using a Rose song in there for obvious reasons. I mean, Rose songs would be used for obvious reasons. It's not like I hate shipping her with Rose or anything. Nobody hates that ship. Oh yeah, I remixed Jade Sylph, that one funky drum beat song, which got a lot of the inspiration, I guess, from. And except for one part with sort of stringish chiptune synths, I actually used only the 2A03 channels in this song for the most part. And that's a pretty damn cool accomplishment, just making a song with only 2A03 channels for the most part, without even realizing it. And you can say the song has pretty weird chord patterns, but I didn't even intend for chord patterns to be weird, but I sure would have noticed if they actually sounded bad and discordant. It's really weird though. Ah, here we go back to the way I bullshit endings by repeating the main section of the song and all that bullshit instead of actually going somewhere new with the song. And yeah. I think the Gardener bass line, surprisingly enough, fits pretty well there, even though it's in a song that you think is in one key but actually is in another. And use the key that you think it's in at first. And yeah, even though I did a lot of bullshitting with the song, it's probably one of the better ones. And the next song is Detective Cherry Inspector, this Terezi song, which is really just mostly a remix of Long Night Ahead, which is a Problem Smooth themed song that Tensei posted on his Tumblr, and it's a really good and fun song. And it somehow occurred to me to remix this song, and it ended up way different from the other songs. I think I used too much of Long Night Ahead and not enough in Terezi's music, which is where the song sort of falls weak. But some people do like that it's got a completely different feel from most of the album. But as with most of my songs, that's because I completely ripped the style of a song. But who cares, I'll listen to this thing. Yeah, I just combined it with pretty much some bits of the song Blind Justice Investigation, which is more Terezi's theme, I guess, and Blind Justice is a really amazing song that's cool and fun to listen to that I did a chiptune cover when I was bored. It's one of the songs which I was at one point embarrassed to have chiptune covered, but now I'm embarrassed to have chiptune covered different songs, I guess. Oh yeah, I used Under the Hat or Troll Cops in this song, and that's another really good jazz song. I don't even remember how much material in the song is just straight up ripped from Long Night Ahead. A large amount of that song sure was ripped from Long Night Ahead. And most of the actual work it did in the song was transcribing Long Night Ahead. And yeah, that song is structured with a cool structure where these three melodies for the main characters of Problem Smooth, each played on their associated jazz instruments. And I did a really bad, and I pretty much stole for them. Oh yeah, out of nowhere then this section of Teal Sear, the Colors and Mayhem song, which I used Colors and Mayhem in every song on this album. Because, you know, I needed Troll songs to remix, and the structuring of those albums gave each Troll a song, even if some of them were not that fitting to people. Like, Cobalt Thief obviously gets that the hardest, and I didn't bother trying to remix that song in my Briska song, so that's an exception. But hey, I don't remember this part of the song dragging on this long. But yeah, I listened to Colors and Mayhem a lot, not long after I read Homestuck. It was the first album that I regularly listened to, and it sort of set the stage for experience with Homestuck music, even though it was not by the actual music team. But yeah, nothing can change that. Even if the song is too much of a remix of Long Night Ahead, it was a fun song to remix, and the idea I had off the top of my head was to edit this so that it's literally just a cover of Long Night Ahead, but I guess any old person can do it themselves if I give them the Family Tracker file for this song. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Oh boy. The next song is the Vriska song on this album, and I myself did the art for this. I just pasted together a bunch of comments from a Reddit thread about Vriska, then put a bunch of pictures of her being angry there. Yeah. And This song was the one that was used in a cool new webcomic Flash, which blew me away when I found that out. It was on page 720 of the comic, at least until the title page with navigation and stuff was added, but still, it was on the 720th page of the comic. You know, the page number that's between 450 and 850. Oh yeah, it's also the only song I've ever made with Megalovania in it. For some reason, it's never occurred to me much outside this song to remix Megalovania, even though it gets insane amounts of attention, but it actually is a good song in all its versions, I guess. But let's listen to this. It's another one of those songs since it was used in the comic, I can't really bring myself to dislike it or anything. Oh yeah, I used a lot of Killed by Break Spider, which is a good song, which is Vriska in song form more so than her actual official theme. They made like a chiptune version of combining that and Megalovania, I guess. And I'm at a loss for words of this song because I already remember it better than I remember most of my songs in this album, which is weird. I'm surprised at how easily I incorporated Megalovania into the song. It's the kind of song that you can easily mix into things, and that most of the cool and new music team members that aren't me have probably remixed it a million times each, but I always forget to remix it, kind of like how I forgot to remix Gold Pilot. And there's another gratuitous Crystallanthemums, which, as I've said, is sort of hammered in for no reason, even though it's a good catchy melody. And yeah, here's where I have a long column section, which I could do more in my song. But this is a column interlude that sounds actually good, not like a complete instrument washout where I'm like, wait, fuck, how do I build this up to the actual ending section of the song where I always repeat my favorite part with another layer of instruments? Guess I got a free out because of using rhythms similar to those in Megalovania that prevented me from flat out making a quiet section because Megalovania doesn't have a quiet section. Here I use all three of the main parts of Megalovania. That's starting Austin out of the one yeah, I think this song turned out reasonably good, considering that it was made by me all the way back in the ancient time of July. It's the one I posted to my YouTube channel a while back, even though there's probably no more point in it being there anymore. You know that as of me saying this, I plan to actually upload my solo album to my YouTube as well. If the Cool and New Music Team channel hasn't gotten to it already by that point, I don't know. But yeah, I ended up completely bullshitting with a super easy way. The riff from Megalovania plus that do chord, which is always how I bullshit endings. At least it's better than fake endings. Funny thing, in my first Fighting Spirit song, the one on Volume 7, I actually went out of my way to make it not have a fade-out ending, unlike the original song. Because goddamn, those fade-out endings. People say that I did a really good job replicating the style of Fighting Spirit. That's probably only because the song was made in Famitracker, according to the commentary booklet it was in for Land of Fans and Music 2, both versions of the song. The next one, yes, so good, that Equius song with Humanimal's art. Just gotta jump right in and listen. Oh god, I still can't get over this art. Retracing Humanimals and all that. In this song, the biggest difficulty was finding material to remix, because Equius doesn't have a lot of music that's actually music and not ambient noise. Like, think about Staring from Alternia, or his lack of a redone song by Toby. He only has like Horse Kistra and Indigo Air to his name. and a bunch of maybe other ambient songs I forgot about. Guess there's Chaotic Strength, but I forgot to remix that. Then there's the songs from before, for Heiress, his pre-scratch-roll counterpart, but I had really, really awful luck finding songs of his remix. His principal song, Creeping Blue, haha, good luck finding a melody there. Don't know how it was even pulled off of the before's version of Rex, which is a weird orchestra bullshit song. Oh yeah, orchestra bullshit. I could go on about orchestra bullshit and how it's actually kind of easy to write, but not the good kind. I don't make good orchestra bullshit, I only make shitty string sound fun music. Oh yeah, I settled on using Maple Huff's Adventure, like a minor key version as a sort of bass line because it's horse-related music and Equius likes horses. And I'm surprised that I was able to use one of those songs nobody ever remixes just by turning it into a minor key. It actually sort of fits in. People are like, hey, that's a cool bass line you added there. And I'm like, no, it's minor key Maple Huff's Adventure. Well yeah, this next part has Nega Strife because, you know, this character is connected to Lord English. And I got a free excuse to use freaking Nega Strife, which is a really good song with an immensely memorable melody that some people say is discordant, but it's always fun to use, especially when you don't adjust the notes. It's just a really fun song to remix, and I've used it in too many songs myself, like, in, let's just say a lot of songs. I use Nega Strife a lot. But I know those certain people who complain about using Nega Strife without the notes changed. I'm like, no. If you change those notes that are a half step above the root note, then it's not Nega Strife anymore. Oh, whatever. Let's move on to the March of the One True Juggalo, the Gamzee song. This one has, like the others, it has a weird story. It's insanely fast for its nature, because I made each song's tempo a different multiple of 5, between 100 and 155, because I am an actual good person. I make my tempos multiples of 5, so it isn't impossible for people to determine them. Like, I don't know what's going through people's heads when they, presumably deliberately, set their song tempo to 123.856. Like, how are people supposed to work with those songs in that case? But yeah. The song also has key signature gimmicks where each song is in a key signature 1/2 step higher than the previous, I guess. But I haven't noticed anyone themselves notice it. I mean, obviously I know most people don't have perfect pitch, but still you'd expect someone to notice that if that album was more popular. I think I used only one actual Gamzee song in this because, again, as with Equius, he doesn't have a lot of actual musical material, but I did use a lot of Purple Bard in this, which is another good song that's kind of a long time favorite of mine because it's from Colors and Mayhem. Yeah, a pretty weird and hectic song that isn't a march in the slightest. This song isn't even a little bit like a march, because I am that bad at song names. Even when I come up with a dumb song name, I can't make a song actually stick to that song name, because I'm that bad at songs. Oh yeah, I used Let's All Rock the Heist for some reason. I completely forget why I used that. People are like, hey, why did you use that song? And I'm like, hell if I remember. At least this Let's All Rock the Heist actually blends there, even if it's out of place, it does fit relatively well. Oh yeah, the song also has 5 seconds of a thing from Beforeus. I don't remember why I thought I had to squeeze that thing in. Oh yeah, also has like 3 seconds of Purple Tyrant, which is an immensely catchy song that there's a really good remix of it, Lacanderville on Volume 8. But I only used a few seconds of that for some reason. I don't remember why. I could have made this a Purple Tyrant remix, but my mind was like no to that opportunity for some reason. That probably just led to a bunch of confusion instead. But what do you expect from a song about Gamzee, the character whose very existence is a running gag, and a lot of people are like, no, Gamzee should be a serious character. And I see why people say that, but I think he is a funny joke a lot of times. How things about him are really hand-wavy. I do think that's amusing, unlike a lot of other people. Yeah, I forgot. This one I actually did things with drums. I hate writing drum lines. They're hard and boring, and I always do it with trial and error. Okay. Now I'm on Aridin's song, which has a really bad name. Like, if there's any song where I could have come up with a better title, it's this. Well, Aridin actually is pretty dumb, but he is not that great. You need to shut up now. Start. When I made this song, someone actually said, hey, you should remix Aridin's theme by Nick Smalley. I said, what the hell is Aridin's theme by Nick Smalley? It's on Soundtest, and then I heard it, and I was like, for some reason I added it to the beginning of the song. For some reason I can't remember, I added Morse code spelling out Aridin is not that great. But yeah, I used Aridin's theme in Violent Prince mostly, and this song actually contains like none of my original writing. Aridin's theme is immensely catchy and feels very Aridin, but again, I turned Aridin's music into a really weird generic chiptune with some dumb songs thrown in there for no reason, like Suburban Jungle. Not to say Suburban Jungle is a dumb song, it's a great song. I don't remember why I threw it in though. It's played on these weird arpeggio notes. Oh yeah, I used Nautical Nightmare in it. That's how you can tell I'm a true artist, unlike the other chumps on this team. Nobody remixes Nautical Nightmare for some reason. It's a really chaotic song that hits the radiation feel. I guess there's a rip of it on the Cool New Music Team channel with Soulja Boy, Conflict from Reddit Suck, Megalomania. But yeah, Nautical Nightmare is actually a song that people could remix more. Remixing underused songs is perhaps one of my greater accomplishments in this album. Not like how I used all those random songs thrown in for no reason, and bad drum patterns and shit. Oh yeah, I forgot to say Violent Prince is also a song that's fun to listen to, even though it's orchestra bullshit. That should be the kind that's just impressive but not fun to listen to. It's weird. Orchestra bullshit is a very weird concept, even if it's not relevant at all to this album. And that's this song. The Heiress Without a Role, the shortest song on this album, for the troll who nobody really cares about. I mostly used Mina and the Contest's songs in this, to be honest. It's only a minute 43 seconds long. I guess I got tired of making this longer than the other songs. At least this character does have a theme that Toby had forgotten to make earlier in the album, so he made a theme for Volume 8, then made a theme for the character who served as a replacement, and apologies to Pisces people, I guess. I don't remember the last time I listened to this. The last time I listened through this whole album, I gave up at Aridin's song. So here I am, re-listening to an old song that pretends to be a fairy song, but isn't, because nobody really cares about her. At least Aridin has the dignity of being someone who you could outright say is not that great and you need to shut up now. Oh yeah, there's minor key sections like she has an evil side, except she doesn't. It's really just me being lazy because this character has, I think, literally only one song. Wait, no, that's technically not true. Keepers is a song that exists. But it's not like she has songs like that. Oh yeah, I forgot I remixed Fuchsia Ruler. It's amazing what the fact that the character this song is about makes you forget everything about it already. Fuchsia Ruler is also a good song because Homestuck has some seriously sick tunes, but I forgot you seriously forgot I remixed Fuchsia Ruler in this song. And every song in this album, I got tired of it and ended up seeing how long this was, and it usually turned out to be 2 some minutes. But, Okay, here we are at the conclusion of this album. Rex Mille Geromius, the cool and new webcomic version of Rex. In this song, I think it was John J. Renz, suggested that I make a cool new version of Rex, and I decided to do it as a chiptune because chiptunes are good. And this monstrosity of a song happened. I decided to base it on the characters on the cover of the Volume II cover art, which would be Jahan, Rose, Dave, Jayed, Heckin Jeff, no, not Heckin Jeff, Gurmy Sprit, Crackit, Corrupt Terezi Equius, Gametez, Kanaya, and Famora Freak and Dad. I think I listed everyone, but except I couldn't think of a theme to use for Dad, so I replaced him with Jack Noir, and he, even at the time of this album, already had a fair few songs to his name. People really like making themes for this guy for some reason. And yeah, the art, I specifically asked the artist to reflect that, and the art was actually made by 3 people. One of them did the shading, and one of them only drew Rose's hand. But yeah, I'll kick in. The actual melody to this song. It was such a struggle to write. I wanted to make a main melody for this song, and I don't even remember what melodies I had come up with previously, if anything. It just sort of sat there blankly until I was like, fuck it, I'll make something that harmonizes with the original Rex melody. It's a bit lazy, but it actually works pretty well. When I made Rex faded on the backing synth, it doesn't really sound bad. The song isn't the greatest song, but at least I finished this. I finished the monstrosity song with themes for 12 characters and everything. Oh yeah, I also did some maybe cool arpeggio shit in this background. Oh, as a bonus, I think I used literally the same drum pattern throughout this whole song. Even by my standards, that is really damn lazy, using the same drum pattern the whole song. Does it say something that the drum pattern at the whole thing is the same doesn't sound out of place? I used the My Little Pony theme song for Corrupted Equius, and I don't remember that was a good idea. I don't remember why I thought that was a good idea. Sure, he likes horses. At least I'm not the only person who remixed that theme song. Tensei did it, Arisen knew that it was for 5 seconds, and here it's for 10 seconds. Then the next section, Crackhead, Corrupted Carcat section, is an example of me being short on ideas. As of this speaking, he still doesn't have any music to his name, so I just made an ascending version of Carcat's theme. Maybe when a cool new webcomic Troles album rolls around for the corrupted versions of the Trolls, then it will happen. Oh yeah, here's Jack Noir's section, where I painstakingly transcribed the melody of the song Archagent Everlasting, because I hadn't memorized the name of that song at the time. No, I haven't memorized the melody, and the guy who made Archagent, John J. Renz, he was really thrilled to see me have remix of that song, though after that point, 10 people had used it in their songs, and I was just like the second person at the time to remix. The only other was in the cover of the Fruity Pebbles jingle. Oh yeah, Dave's part with Atomic Empire, another example of me running out of ideas. Here's me returning to the chorus, which is lazy, but I get a free pass because Rex does it. God bless you, Malcolm Brown. Oh yeah, this is where I came up with the B section to the Rex melody. Now, B sections of things are a funny story, because unlike coming up with actual melodies, coming up with B sections to accompany additional existing ones, it isn't impossible. I wanted to remix the song Terexi from Volume 2, but I ended up just remixing her theme because Terexi doesn't have the original melody. And what do you know, she actually does have her own song in Volume 8 called 413, 111, 411, 413, or whatever. And yeah, that was another lazy part. But up next, oh boy, Famora Freak section. Is Justice Must Be Served, post-apocalyptic fedora put through the love machine. But since I didn't know that at the time, I made out a melody out of that and used it in the song. And I actually transcribed a love machine song and incorporated it into this mess of a song, but I really did do it. I transcribed a Love Machine song and remixed it. That's cool and new at least. Oh yeah, Jahan gets Roller Coaster Tycoon to his name. Roller Coaster Tycoon theme is a classic. Even if everyone remixes it, it's cool and new by nature. And I can't hate using that as a melody. Rose's part's another lazy part. It's just Dance of Thorns, blah blah blah. It took a long time for people to actually be willing to make music for her, but at least eventually Rose did get some good tunes like the song Amidst This Mess, and maybe Unity of Thorns and Misery Loves Company from earlier albums. There has to be some Rose-related songs I'm forgetting. Here's the return of the chorus section again. Again, I get a free pass on doing that. Because, you know... yeah. And here's the B section of the chorus again. What do you want me to say when I repeat sections of songs? Here's Gerby Sprit's short section of the song. It combines Sweetbro, Hella Jeff, and Harlequin because the song Gerby quit for him didn't have an original melody. Yet another character who would actually get a theme later on. And Jayed, forgot the Jade section. I should have used Dog's song for that. I know it's an Undertale song, but it's her theme. It's her actual theme. And even before I played Undertale, I wished I had used that song. Still, like... At least Corsair is a good song, but I should have used Dog's song, because associating characters with corrupted and the non-Homestuck songs is cool and new. Oh yeah, Kanaya's section is Chalk Emerald, a remix of Virgin Orb. I don't know if I just ended up referencing Virgin Orb. Oh yeah, Gameit has this section is Just Miracles by ICP, and I'm still the only person on the team to have remixed that song somehow. How is that possible? How have not more people remixed the ICP song? Anyway, I kind of was rushed through using talking in the latest sections, though I didn't realize that at the time I was really lazy and short with the sections like Gerby's section and Kanaya's section. And yeah, this song, I could have done it better in a lot of ways. I could have waited till like volume 8 or so to have found good melodies to use for all the characters on the Volume II cover, even though Dad in Cool New Webcomics still doesn't have any songs associated with him, besides a sound test song called Dad Flashback. I could have maybe used Under the Hat, but I couldn't really pass up using one of the many themes for Jack that people had made. But, all things considered, I'm happy that I actually did finish making Rex Mille Geromius. It ended up on Polish, but it has some pretty cool track art there. It's also pretty new, don't you think? Oh yeah, my solo album has a bonus track that I made a few days before the album actually came out. It's called Of Troles and Frytunes. Now, once I had finished the album besides Rex, I finished most of the album over the course of a week or two. Then it sat there for a while, and Rex, RMG for short, took me longer because I had vacations during that time and I had to do a lot of actual planning for it, and the art for it took a while. But still, the album was sitting there for quite a while, and it was released, I guess, along with the Doctor Remix album. But when the album was finally ready to release, the sidebar for it had the album spelled in emojis as, like, a troll face, French fries, and a musical note. So, if you're of Trolls and Chiptunes, except here we don't call them chips, we call them French fries. So, I made a song called Of Trolls and Frytunes. I'll let you listen for yourself. I don't even need any commentary. It's literally just layered with fry lines from Futurama. But it would be doing this album huge injustice not to at least play this song.
Some good old high gravity rain. That'll cool us off. This is awesome. We're gonna be like, pow, 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 and they're gonna be like, ah! And then we'll have pancakes to celebrate, and I'll be like, that's a stupid animal. You're stupid. And as vice chairman, I believe I speak for the entire board when I issue this challenge to Mom. Look at my butt! co-ed steam rooms. I love the future.
Fry, you're in the women's steam room.
Ah, futuristic. How come when I want to do fun stuff that'll kill me, you're against it? I didn't find him here 10 minutes ago, so I thought it was time to check again. I won! I'm the greatest! Uh-oh. Ah! Ooh! Ooh! Ah! 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 Woo! Oh! I've got a toast to Captain Bender. He's the best. At being a big jerk who's stupid and his big ugly face is as dumb as a butt. I've got a toast to Captain Bender. He's the best. At being a big jerk who's stupid and his big ugly face is as dumb as a butt.
Nah, I've heard better.
And yeah, that was of Troles and Frytunes for you. I hope that song spoke for itself. It's this album's secret bonus song, but I hope hearing Frytunes without me even talking about it was worth your time. Anyway, my solo album for Cool and New Music Team is pretty unpolished, and I made it quickly, but I'm glad I finished it. Even after all this time, I might not be super proud of the songs themselves, but just the fact that I made this is levels of creativity and motivation that I might never be able to reach again. It was just so much fun to make that I don't even know. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to say, because I think I had covered everything. So, I guess this is the end of the video. I already talked about the album pretty much entirely beforehand in those first 10 minutes. So, I think this is the end. Alright, see ya.